The coldest night of the year had settled over the Mongol camp. The wind sliced through the leather tents like iron blades, and every breath felt like swallowing broken glass. The fires were dying, the horses shivered, and frost crawled across the earth like a living shadow. Marcus stood silently before the Khan's tent, his face half-lit by the trembling torchlight. He looked older than his years, a boy carved out of loss, fear, and the ashes of his past. The Khan stepped forward, his fur coat swaying in the icy wind. His eyes held a challenge and a calculation. "Marcus," he said quietly, "do you believe you are a warrior?" Marcus did not respond. He did not need to. The Khan pointed toward the jagged mountain ridge. Beyond it lay a place Mongols whispered about in fear. Kara Yelg, the Valley of Black Ice. "Go there," the Khan commanded. "Hunt a stag. Bring me its heart. If you return alive, then you were chosen by the sky itself." No one had ever survived the valley. Not one Mongol youth. Not one soldier. But Marcus wrapped a thin cloak around his shoulders, took a single arrow, a knife, and a water skin, and walked into the darkness without a word. Serenia watched him from afar. Her breath fogged in the night. Her eyes glistened with fear. Marcus disappeared into the freezing void. The valley greeted him with a silence so heavy it felt like walking inside a tomb. The cold wasn't on the skin, it was inside the blood. He found shelter under a slab of stone and survived the night only by holding his breath and praying his heart would keep beating. A low growl broke the dark. A white wolf emerged from between the trees, its breath steaming in the frozen air. Its eyes were hungry. Desperate. The beast lunged. Marcus rolled aside, slammed his knife into its neck, and felt warm blood spill over his freezing hands. The fear was gone now. Only survival remained. For 10 days he ate nothing but tree bark, snow, and the occasional trapped bird. His ribs showed, his lips cracked, and the world spun every time he stood. But he moved forward every single day. His father's voice echoed in his mind. "Run, Marcus, grow old, and take revenge." Firelight flickered between the trees. 6 enemy riders were resting at the valley's edge. They were hunting him, or waiting for him to die. Marcus struck like a ghost. 1 throat cut. 1 arrow to the eye. 1 pushed off the cliff. 3 slain in brutal silence. The last man whispered as he fell. "You are not human, you are the shadow of this valley." On the 40th dawn, the sky was pale and lifeless. Marcus felt his strength fading. Then he saw it, a majestic white stag, moving like a spirit between the trees. The Mongols believed such a creature was the guardian of fate. Marcus hunted it. Fought it. Took its heart. He wrapped it in cloth and walked out of the valley. Alive. A storm turned into flesh. When he walked back into the Mongol camp, every warrior froze. Marcus, thin as bone, covered in wounds, eyes burning with a quiet fire, placed the stag's heart at the Khan's feet. The Khan stared at him as if he were staring at prophecy. "You defeated the valley," he whispered. "You defeated death." Marcus said nothing. But everyone knew. A warrior had been born, not from training, but from pure survival. The camp buzzed with whispers the moment the boy returned. Marcus walked through the frozen courtyard like an apparition, a survivor the earth itself had failed to kill. Men stared. Women backed away. Even the horses sensed something changed in him. He was still a child, but a child forged in hunger, in blizzards, in silence, and in death. The Khan's generals gathered around. Some looked impressed. Others afraid. But the Khan himself stepped forward. "You are no longer a boy," he said. "You walked where our best warriors died. But power attracts enemies. Remember that." Marcus nodded softly. His silence was heavier than most warriors' voices. Serenia ran to him the moment she saw him. "Marcus, you're alive!" She placed her hands on his shoulders, checking his wounds, her voice trembling. For the first time since he lost his family, Marcus allowed himself a small smile. And Serenia broke into tears. At dawn, the Khan ordered, "Give him a horse." He is no longer a foot soldier. The tribe gasped. No child received a warhorse. The beast was black, wild, violent, untamed. Even the trainers refused to go near it. But Marcus walked up to the horse as if approaching an old friend. The horse reared, screamed, kicked mud. Marcus stepped close, placed his hand on its neck, and whispered something no one could hear. The horse lowered its head. Togrul, the old master, stared at the sight. How? This animal listens to no one. Marcus said nothing. He simply mounted the horse, and the beast obeyed him as if it had always belonged to him. Training began. Shooting arrows while riding. Sword strikes at full gallop. Dodging swinging logs. Breaking ice with bare hands. Enduring snowstorms without shelter. Togrul shook his head every day. He learns in 1 hour what others learn in 10 days. Marcus didn't train to impress. He trained because he remembered his father's blood on the snow. He trained because one day he would return to Rome. At dusk, on a distant cliff, figures emerged in the shadows. The same enemy tribe Marcus fought in the valley. One survivor growled. That boy, he lives. Another muttered. And he grows stronger than all of us. Their leader clenched his fist. We should have killed him. Now he will destroy us. They vanished into the darkness. A storm was coming. Night draped the Mongol camp in a blanket of uneasy silence. Marcus sat outside his tent, sharpening his bone-handled knife, his eyes fixed on the stars. The cold didn't bother him anymore. Silence didn't scare him. He felt something else now, something that lived inside warriors. Instinct. Suddenly, a flicker of light appeared on the ridge. Then another. And another. Marcus stood instantly. A heartbeat later, a scream tore through the camp. Fire arrows! Take cover! The sky burst open as dozens of flaming arrows rained down like falling stars. Men stumbled out of their tents, shouting, panicking, searching for weapons and shields. But Marcus, he walked straight toward the fire. The enemy tribe charged the camp, hundreds of riders, torches blazing, war cries echoing off the mountains. Their leader roared from the cliff. Tonight the boy dies! Not even the valley could kill him, so we will! The Mongols scrambled into formation, but too late. Marcus grabbed a fallen shield, leapt onto a broken crate, and shouted a single order, loud enough to cut through the chaos. Shields to the front! Horsemen to the right! Leave the center open! Every warrior froze. They stared at the boy who spoke like a commander. The Khan himself looked stunned. But Marcus' tone left no room for doubt. The Mongols moved, and in seconds the camp formed a deadly trap. The enemy broke through the center, exactly as Marcus intended. He dashed forward, grabbed a fallen spear, and struck the first rider off his horse. Another came charging. Marcus rolled aside, jumped onto the galloping horse, and threw the rider off with one brutal twist. Flaming arrows cracked overhead. Screams filled the night. And in the middle of it all, Marcus fought like a storm. The enemy recoiled. Is he even human? Why doesn't he die? He fights like 10 men. Marcus turned the tide alone. He was no longer a child. He was the weapon the valley had forged. On the ridge, the enemy chief saw the battle collapsing. He turned his horse to flee. But Marcus mounted his black horse, charged uphill, and hurled his spear straight into the chief's chest. The man collapsed, rolling down the stones, eyes wide with disbelief. Silence slowly spread across the battlefield. Smoke drifted up into the frozen sky. The Mongols watched Marcus as he rode back into the camp, his face marked with blood and firelight. The Khan approached him, his voice heavy with awe. Marcus, tonight you saved us. You are no longer a Roman boy. You are no longer our prisoner. You are a warrior born from destiny. Marcus said nothing. But the fire in his eyes spoke louder than any words. Serenia ran to him, tears streaking her face. Marcus, you survived again. He gave a single nod, the only answer she needed. And the camp understood. Marcus was becoming a legend. Not for Rome. Not for Mongolia. But for himself.